People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on. Thank you very much for that, Ian Wright. People deluded, I'm back again. Now, the Premier League season is done. Whatever you have to say about it, all we can do is look back in hindsight and apply better foresight. You know, I'm disappointed that Arsenal got 89 points and it still wasn't enough. If you're a Liverpool fan, you're probably saying, what are you moaning about, DG? I've seen my team get plus 90 points. And it just shows you how I feel with Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, historically with the Pep Guardiola battles, and what you've seen in the last 2 years with Mikel Arteta. I personally feel we're driving City. You know, City, don't get twisted. You know, their only enemies are themselves. They, you know, ooze excellence, footballing excellence. You know, they bullied the league under Pep Guardiola. But when you know you've got newcomers on the block like Arsenal and you've got Liverpool there, it's drove them. And I think it's gone under the radar that, you know, because it's not that no one's impressed by Manchester City, but because they're so good, it's not really a talking point if you hear several statistics. They broke a lot of their own records. They've been unbeaten since December. And it does feel like, to a degree, an impossible job. And, you know, I asked the club, if we're talking about winning a Premier League title, to target 90 points. We finished just shy of that. And it does feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's like, what more can I expect the club to do? Now, that's how I feel on one hand. On the other hand, I feel no matter how great City are, and, you know, there's plenty of talking points, do I feel we have maximized everything that we potentially could have this season? No, I think probably 98%. You know, we've shot ourselves in the foot when we've dropped points. Again, I know we can't win them all really, but, you know, you have to look at the 2 games against Fulham, probably written in the stars that David Moyes and Declan Rice's old club were going to get one over us. Even more written in the stars is probably Unai Emery, really. And the greater good is their 6 points helped them pip Spurs to the top 4. But yeah, man, I just feel, as much as the season has been romantic, we've been, you know, the goals, the points, the defending, the clean sheets, there's so many things to be positive about. I feel it's about chasing those extra percentages, and I don't feel we have the squad. I feel everybody's done their thing. I feel certain players have had to play more than Mikel Arteta would have liked, and I just feel the December period is what kind of cost us. Obviously, you know, I have to give the club credit. We lost one game from the start of this year to the end of it, and it still wasn't enough. And unfortunately, that's the dynamics with Manchester City. We don't know if they're going to go away. So yeah, we need to turn some draws into victories, turn some defeats into draws, and we'd have more points on the board, really and truly. You know, 89 points, still not winning the league again. You know, record number of wins, but this just shows how football develops. If I'm completely honest, I still think we need a central midfielder, and I think I'd implore a lot of you to go back through a lot of our games. You could see that we need a central midfielder. It's a bit weird because I think in all comps we've got 113 goals, 80 odd in the Premier League. You know, we finished second in terms of goals for a team that really doesn't have a clinical striker or an out-and-out guy. I think there's too many unanswered questions. I think our players have the capacity to score goals, all of them attackers. But if you sit there in August, in the last 2 years, and this August coming, who would you bet your life savings is going to get double figures? It's Bukayo Saka. Everyone else has the capacity. Trossard's done it. Kai's in a great bit of form. You know, Jesus is a shadow of his former self, but he once got 11 goals before his injury. Martinelli had a standout season last year. This season, that's just gone. It hasn't been there. There's too many unanswered questions, and I feel we're a couple of percentages. I feel we've got the defense on lock. Probably just need to bring in 1 or 2. You know, we've got Timber coming back. Saliba and Gabriel and Benjamin White have been great. Raya looks settled. Obviously, the whole team attacks and defends, but you've got Declan Rice, you've got Odegaard, you've got Saka. There's a couple pieces to the puzzle that I think we need, really. And I don't doubt the club. You know, I do think some of our fans, you know, you've got fans that are probably toxic positive and toxic negative. Their opinions are on the floor. And for the over toxic positive people that say buzzwords without context, just listen to what the manager's saying. Mikel Arteta is literally saying, I'm not happy. We want to win the league title. We're chasing excellence, really. So as much as I have some sort of level of pride for what we've done, at the end of the day, second place is just first place loser, really. That's the harsh reality of it. The season's been romantic. You know, it is romantic. We come back from a difficult December, went on holiday, you know, blitzed the country in 2024. From August up until that point, we was doing all right. We came over adversity. Again, while fans can laugh at us for not winning the title, in previous years, if we had to play Man United away from home, if we had to play Spurs, and I think City, one of those teams probably would have killed the title aspects. But there's a lot of romance, but when it's the nitty gritty, I have to applaud the players because they haven't got over the line, but they've maintained, they've slugged out results, they played, they've won games ugly, but unfortunately, I just don't think we have enough to a degree. So I think there's certain things we need to maximize. I think there's too many unanswered questions, and I think a lot could be solved on the recruitment front. Now, if we turn around and sign a winger, a striker, a central midfielder, and potentially another defensive body, people, it makes, it's still not enough potentially, because I personally think Man City are going to spend the bag. We don't even know if Jurgen Klopp, if Pep Guardiola is going to be there next, the season after next. So it's an interesting one. People will say, oh, everyone's going to improve. Of course, everyone's going to improve. Every team in the league is going to aspire to improve, including us. And the competition is going to get bigger and better. I'd say one thing we have in comparison to some of the top five and Spurs is that we've got stability. I actually feel people downplay Chelsea. I feel if certain things get put into place, they could, get going sooner rather than later. We don't know what Liverpool are going to look like post Jurgen Klopp, and we've seen it when Wenger left. We saw it with Sir Alex Ferguson. Hopefully there's issues in that regards. Spurs, not levels, not worried about them. Man United, again, glorious club. Probably need to get rid of Ten Hag. We don't, and several players. Looks like they're going through a rebuild. City or City, but we're kind of in this realm, and we want to take advantage of this, because as much as I feel there's definitely been some really low lows this season, and there's definitely been some highs, there's nothing etched in history. 20, 30 years from now, nobody necessarily cares about 2023, 24. At best, the last 2 years, if we go and win the league next year and the year after that, then yeah, it makes for a good movie of the failures to turn it into success. But yeah, man, really and truly, to get laughed at by some of my friends on WhatsApp for getting 89 points and whatnot, I'll take that after back-to-back 8 finishes and stuff. But in life, you could always do more, and all we have to do is sit, reflect, and go again, really. I feel the Premier League, we gave a good account of ourselves, ultimately didn't get over the line, which is very disappointing. There's no way around it. The players wanted it, they dreamed of it. You can see Mikel Arteta's language change really and truly from, he did the PR thing, kind of what I do every year. Like, I don't look at the league table. Then, he was very specific. And the players, because a career is short, whether you're in your early 20s or you're, 30 odd like Jorginho on party, a career is short, and there's no guarantee you'll be in that scenario again. It's about winning trophies. The whole thing Mikel Arteta is doing, buying Declan Rice with these great envious young players. Like, again, a lot of our players are envied of other clubs. This has to be built in towards winning something. And I'm always going to say I'm disappointed about not being in the FA Cup final. I think since we won that competition under Mikel Arteta, we've disgraced ourselves in that generally. I think on one hand, we gave a good account of ourselves in the Champions League. We didn't get embarrassed, but it is a feeling of what's if. We probably would have lost to Real Madrid, but Bayern beat us and they showed why they're Bayern, but we could have done a lot more in that. The Premier League, there's several games that we could have looked back on. Yes, there's been times where VAR has done us dirty, but there's probably been times we've benefited from VAR. And a lot of the times this season, one thing I've liked is in previous years, if a ref made an incorrect call or whatever, that would be the narrative. That's why Arsenal didn't win. A lot of the time this season, we just got on with it and found a way. So there's a lot of positives. Unfortunately, we haven't won a Premier League title, man. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to smash the like button. DG, who would you add to the middle of the park, and who is the striker you would bring in? Difficult, man, because I'm not the recruitment done, my dude, man. But in terms of midfield, I would love Bruno Guimaraes. I'm a big fan of Zubimendi. I don't think Douglas Luiz would be a bad signing, whether these players are attainable or not. I mean, Atalanta's Coop Miners is quite decent. De Jong would be a dream. I just question De Jong's mentality. And what I mean by that is I think he's got a spot on mentality and stuff, but he just seems like someone that might crumble if the whole team crumbles for all his ability. Up front, I'm happy with a lot of these guys, man. I mean, who wouldn't want Isaac? I'm a big fan of Sesko. I don't think, I think you'd have to give him time. I like what I'm seeing from Gyökeres, but not to diss him, but it is just one real standout season. I don't know if he's there. So that's what I would say, man. We should have won the Carabao Cup, in my opinion. Going out to West Ham like that was atrocious. I won't personally kill the club for not going through in the League Cup, but trophies are trophies, and we don't have any divine right. And, for me, Fulham away, and the game you're referring to, West Ham away in the Cup, we disgraced ourselves. Probably our worst performances of the season, if I'm honest. There's 0% positives, in my opinion. Sometimes, we've lost games or dropped points, and I could say, there were certain aspects that we could build upon. Don't believe that with the Fulham away. West Ham away in the League Cup. Yes, it's not the most important of trophies, but again, some of these players are plus 30. Some of these players are young. The more you can amass trophies, the better. And I just don't think we have a big enough squad, man. And I think that's something personally Mikel Arteta's got to address. You know, it goes over a lot of people's heads. The man himself, I'll go back to February, I'm sure, or just type in on Google or something, Mikel Arteta, smallest squad in the league. He literally said that. Now, I rate what Mikel Arteta is doing, what he's assembled, but if I'm rating you for that and then you're coming out and saying that, then I have to critique it, because again, we've done well to cope with injuries, but there's a lot of narratives that we keep talking about year in, year out, and how many times we can put our hand in fire and learn. Realistically, how many players are fully trusted by Mikel Arteta? I'm not dissing him. I'm not dissing these players. Obviously, they're all at the club because Arteta believes in him, in all of them. But who's really trusted? Really, there's about 13 max, really and truly. It's the strongest 11, and then, well, it's the typical 11 we've seen this season. Trossard might be on the bench, you'll draw for him. Obviously, if you've got Jesus on the bench, he's trusted. Zinni's trusted to a certain degree. Timber's back, but who's really trusted? I like Reece Nelson. You're not trusted like that. Eddie Nketiah, you're not trusted like that. Fabio Vieira, Arteta bought you, and I believe you're a good player, but for the last 2 seasons, you're not really trusted like that. You know, Kyrgios, you're doing your thing. I'm not dissing him, but is he really trusted like that? So when you're looking at 4 competitions, you know, and it's obviously we want to win every game and win every trophy, and injuries happen, but the squad is not big enough. You know, we've done, again, I rate how the players have dealt with stuff. The games have come thick and fast, and generally we dealt with that. But then I look at the Aston Villa at home game. Now, we should have killed it in the first half. You know, a couple of our games this season have been a tale of 2 halves, even when we've won games. We should have killed it about 3-4-0. But I do think, you know, and on top of the goals we conceded, which was atrocious in the Aston Villa game, our players looked a bit fatigued. Now, I'm not a fan of rotation for rotation's sake. A big reason as to Arsenal for the last 2 years have been able to look half decent is because the same players are playing. They've been allowed to build relationships and stability and all of that jazz, man. Give me Sesko. No chance Isaac sell him this summer. I think you mean Newcastle. No chance. So we were linked to the Ajax striker, probably. If I haven't butchered that, me as well. I honestly can't even tell you. I can't even tell you who I think we want at striker anymore. Media wants us to believe we're in for everyone. That's why we have to wait until people are holding the shirts. Now, again, there should be I've done a condensed transfer news video. It should come out straightly after this. So I don't want to kind of kill it on Brobley. I'm not really convinced. I think he's 22, he's played for Ajax. I do think he's a bully. I do think he can get goals. I think there's quality there, and I would be the first to hold my hands up. I think he's a good player. I'm just not really convinced with all your other aspects of the game. When we're linked with Zertsky, you know, obviously Brian Brobley's record is a lot better in terms of goal scoring than Joshua's, but Joshua affects the game a lot more up front without necessarily scoring. And Kai Havertz, I won't forget this run, you know, to the end of the season. But, you know, if goals were everything, then would Kai Havertz necessarily have been on 9? Would Jesus have necessarily been on 9? Probably not. If I'm taking a player from Ajax, it's Hato. Tell them again, man. Yeah, Havertz has been way better than a lot of us, thought he would. He did, man. You know, again, we know Havertz is versatile, so I can't say Mikel Arteta had no plans to not play him up front, and there might be a shift in what we want to do in the market in that regard. But let's be brutally honest. He was brought in to replace Granit Xhaka. It did not bang. It really didn't. And there were some circumstantial events that led to Kai Havertz going up front, which I'm not complaining. Sometimes you need that in life. You know, if Arsenal weren't crap at a time, who knows? Saka, Martinelli, them times, Smith Rowe, they might not have been. Well, Saka would have come through anyways, pause. But they might not have had their opportunities. And that's what I mean by there's a lot of romance, really. I'm not dissing any of these players, you know, but when it gets nitty gritty, we need to stop talking about Tomiyasu and Partey's injuries. We need to know that we can score goals up front. And it sounds mad of a team that's got 80 odd in the Prem and 100 odd in all comps, probably for the last 2 seasons now, in terms of a strong catalogue of goals. There's too many unanswered questions. They're not assurances. Again, I want the best of both worlds. I want these players that have scored this season and scored last season to be at their best and firing. And I still think we need a forward, man. So it is what it is. One love for the super chat, Jason. I appreciate that. Big up the Irish, man. Best channel on YouTube. I appreciate that, man. Shout out yourself, Jason. And thank you very much. I think Arsenal did well over the league campaign, but I feel it's a missed opportunity. We're guilty of not taking the domestic cup campaigns as seriously as we should have. Amen. We threw all our eggs to a degree in one basket, and then we got shagged. You know what? I think the performance when we went out against Liverpool in the FA Cup was there, but them times we were just starting to get out of what I feel was the psychological issues in December, because these same players that are now scoring have been scoring to the end of the season. It's the same players that were struggling in December. So I said it then. I think there was a psychological issue. I think throughout the season, there's been times where obviously needing a striker, January, that's all we wanted. I would say from August, probably up until December, just before we collapsed, there was an issue around not just scoring goals, even though we was winning games comfortably, creating chances. So ultimately it's a missed opportunity, man. And it's one where, again, on the face of it, there's no shame in losing to Manchester City. But I think every Arsenal fan in their hearts know, like, we are the reasons we didn't win the trophies. Again, I hear it, people. But as I said, with the Spurs game against City and West Ham on the last day of the season, anytime you have to start relying on other teams or other people in life, it starts getting a bit muddied and clouded. And I'm not really on that, if I'm honest. City going to spend 250 M's plus easily. It is what it is, man. Like, it is what it is, man. This is the scenario we're in. We're just going to have to get onto it. Sell and Nketiah, we need money. Obviously, I don't think everyone that's available will leave and things like that. But you would imagine the Emil Smith, well, we can't sell all the English players, but the Emil Smith Rose of this world, the Ramsdales, the Nketiahs, you know, several players, you know, are going to probably be on the way out, Tierney, etc. And then you've got the players whose days appear numbered. And then I look at, like, the Zinchenko's, the Jesuses, the Partey's, where I think they're probably on their way out, but it's a thing where they're not going to kind of be forced out. We're kind of waiting for offers. I think the other names I said probably going to proactively be forced out or moved on, man. Smash the like button if you haven't. Happy to be a part of this amazing community, DG. There's no community like the DG Nation. I've been part of this for 3 years now. It's been a good run so far, DG. You're a legend, my friend. That's far too kind, man. I honestly don't know what to say, but big up yourself, Marcel. Zinchenko will get sold, I reckon. To be honest, probably, you know, again, I do think people are quite harsh on Zinchenko. We know the obvious frailties he has. He probably should just be a squad player. But if we bring in a new left back or someone that's able to play there, Kirio, I don't even know if Kirio will be here, because I don't think he'll be forced out. But he's one that if a decent offer is made, because he's still linked with Italian clubs, you never know. But yeah, you've got Kirio who can play there. Timber is back. Tommy can play there. I'm defo missing a new one could come in. I'm defo missing somebody else out. We've got so many fullbacks. Zinni's damaged goods. And what I like Zinni, but I just don't think in comparison to some of his teammates, he's not spot on defensively. And I just don't think he's athletic enough. And obviously he goes to sleep defensively. So I'm more, I know people say apply this to Jesus, but I'd more want to persist with Gabriel Jesus. And what Zinchenko's won, like, what, 3-4 Premier League titles, and for a team that ain't won one, he should to some degree have some sort of, you know, we shouldn't be talking about selling him really. So the fact that he's got 2 years left on his deal and nothing's happening, that tells you everything, really and truly. You never know. Where you look at Smith Rowe with 2 years left, Zinni with 2 years left, Partey with a year left, maybe they next season or across the next few months, maybe they'll sign new deals and their futures will kind of be sorted. Maybe the lack of movement over them for a team that is now being very proactive with signing new contracts says it all. Don't know, man. But what I would say is unpopular decisions, man. I don't think we should sell Jesus. Listen, I'm going to back Jesus, man. DG, would you keep Zinchenko and use him as a squad player, but as a midfield option, sign another left back? It's techie, man, because I would love to have a conversation, which I can't, with Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta, and say, like, why have you, both of you, not been convinced on starting Zinchenko organically in midfield? Not this inverted, you run in there, like, what is it? And respectfully to Zinni, I mean, on paper, he does it for his country. He is a central midfielder. He just found himself converting into a left back, and he's done quite well, because he wouldn't have won all these trophies at City and all of these kind of things. But I don't think he's athletic enough. I don't think he's defensively switched on enough. I think all the other aspects, I don't think he's dynamic enough. I don't think he's quite got that engine. And especially if you sign a left 8, like, listen, if you've got a left 8, and whether it's Timber, Tommy, Zinni, whoever's inverting off that left-hand side, if they're bringing even more things to the table and we're more dangerous down that side, great. But as we get more all-rounded and better as a team and sort out midfield, the pros to Zinni's game are not really outweighed by the cons, really. Like, so it's just levels, really. So probably needs to cut, man. I'm not really a fan of, I don't know why. I think there are games Zinni, of course, could play in midfield, but as a consistent option, I'm not too sure, really. I do want to see Fabio Vieira pull up some trees to some degree at the football club. I think we need to make Rice his long-term partner, the marquee signing this summer, spend the rest on Sesko, Hato, and capable squad depth to replace outgoings. Is that a central midfielder and a left-back? Fair play. Fair play. A new striker is ideal, but what does that do to Havertz, because he can't be put near that 8 again? Good question, Jason, man. And honestly, fight for your place, my bro. Like, if you keep playing like you're playing Havertz, then the new striker might have to not play. Like, it is what it is. I'd love to wake up and, you know, Kai Havertz has, as well as he's playing up front, if he could turn into Michael Ballack or Schweinsteiger or one of them German central midfielders, great. But you look better up front. You look, you know, when he's got that license to go into midfield, and what we've seen a lot of the times, we're just kicking it long to him and then working off him, or he'll pull, like you saw against, who do we play? It's gone already, Everton. Like, he's just pulling over to the right-hand side. We're knocking it to him. He's flicking it on. There's a lot I like about Kai Havertz's game, but as we probably saw in the Champions League and in some moments, as much as I feel for the majority of the season, you can get away with this. Sometimes you just need cold-hearted killers, and I don't think we have that, man. If I'm completely honest, fought for my life when we were linked with Havertz last summer. Wasn't hearing the end of it. Now I sound like a visionary with the way he's performed. I hear it. And when we signed Kai Havertz, I said I'd put my faith in Mikel Arteta, but I don't see how he gets us closer to Manchester City in his own way. And Kai's done all right. You know what? Double figures. He's doing his thing, man. I was prepared to cut him a chance. And happy to see that, you know, he's doing his thing. Nelly was crap versus, we'll say crap versus Everton, 0 end product, overhitting the crosses. Yeah, Martinelli needs to go back to the drawing board. I mean, I would love Gamara's with Fufana. Fufana could be available at a cut price. He's got a year left. But saying that, Monaco have just got Champions League football. Kai Havertz did exceed expectations, man. You know, he was by a lot of fans, and there's nothing wrong with not believing in Kai. But I would say, obviously, the media control the narratives, people, as you lot know. So I think the media were quite harsh on Kai Havertz. I get it. Engagement, you need clicks. But, you know, the moment the man signed for Arsenal, without kicking the Premier League ball, they're already running. He's a flop. He's this, he's that, and he's the third, really. And big up Kai Havertz, man, because definitely Fulham at home, I definitely wouldn't have seen you, let alone be our star striker, have double figures in the season. And, you know, you did quite well. Obviously, got an assist at Old Trafford, did well against Spurs, did well against his former team. To be honest, in terms of this latter end to the season, Kai Havertz is, well, to be fair, Kai Havertz has been one of our better players in 2024 up until this point. They've been defending each other for years. When allegations come up, Chelsea will start getting salty towards all their 6-5-0 bad. But yeah, it is what it is. Long stream of us Arsenal fans coping, brother. Listen, no expectations leads to no disappointments, man. There'll be a time where I genuinely will sit there in August and believe that we can win the league. It's not anytime soon. I would sell Jesus. His knee issue will gradually get worse, and his goal and assist output wasn't great this season. I think we could put the money towards another addition. You could, but I feel there's many more things that we need to do in terms of outgoings. And I think we need to, we finally got some stability. I'm not saying anyone's wrong because there's a reality, but I don't think it's logical to, when fans are sitting there, sell Jesus, sell Jesus, sell Thomas Partey, sell this guy. Bro, the whole squad's gone. Then you're going to need to bring in other people. Then we're going to talk about they need time, etc., etc. I'm persistent with Jesus, but if we're saying this next year, then you need to cut. And to be honest, Jesus, what, got 2-3 years left on his deal, needs to stand up to be counted. Do you honest? I don't like how well you can't get a new blank because they're good. You need to be ruthless now. City does it all the time. You think they really care that Palmer split? They still win. Tough decisions have to be made. Selling Jesus should never be the priority. Get the Ipswich boy Eddie out first. Damn, I mean, to be fair, Eddie, but you know, Eddie's on a big contract. So on 100 bags a week, let's be honest, like right now, this is the best gig Eddie could get. And I'm not saying Eddie doesn't want to play. I actually feel Eddie Nketiah's got one of the best mentalities at Arsenal Football Club. He seems quite realistic about his situation. But what if these players don't want to move? Like, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but you're kind of reliant. It's like Thomas Partey. If we are going to bring in a centre mid that is a long-term partner for Declan Rice, and we say, you know what, Partey, you have to cut. Partey might say, do you know what, the club don't want me, I'm leaving. Or he might say, you know what, I'm on 200 grand a week. I've got a year left on my deal. I like London. I like what the club's doing. Arteta does trust in my abilities. I'm going to run down my deal and make myself, you know, on a more attractive proposition next season because I'm in my 30s. So there's a lot of difficult decisions that need to be made. It's next season, brother. Trophies are on the way. Prem and FA Cup / League Cup for me next season. Listen, let's just wait how it unfolds, man. Havertz in midfield was instrumental to losses versus Fulham, Villa and West Ham. So far from exceeding, he cost us the title. Harsh, but the results show we drop points whenever he was in midfield. In a circle, I think you're harsh if you're just blaming Kai Havertz for us not winning the Premier League title because, you know, there's several attackers out there. Why didn't we create anything against Newcastle? Against Aston Villa, there were several people. Jorginho, for one, and our whole team defensively went to sleep. You know, again, took the lead in the North London derby. Something happened there. Took us an hour really to stand up to be counted at Stamford Bridge. We don't win or lose together, man. We can't just blame one person. And if we were to blame one person, not blaming anyone, but why is Havertz playing in midfield? Why is Havertz here if that's the thing? Everything is on Mikel Arteta, good and bad. We're in this together, man. I think that's harsh. But yeah, listen, there is a correlation. Again, there's a big fat hole in our midfield. Realistically, nobody has grabbed that third spot. You've got Rice, you've got Odegaard. Nobody's grabbed that. As much as, you know, we've scored over whatever goals and we've got multifunctional players, there isn't that talismanic figure up front or the option of such. And let's be honest, we probably need another winger and overall depth. We all know, like, what realistically, there's, again, 14 players max, I would say, are really, really trusted, backs against the wall. And I would say personally, go and look at our barren run when we were struggling in the Premier League. Who was the one starting? Who was the ones playing? That is who Mikel Arteta trusts. Obviously, you know, injuries play a part. Players being fit plays a part to see who's got the minutes where and whatnot. But if you logically apply it and look at who's played the most minutes, that tells you who's trusted. That's just me, though, man. Partey is terrible, very harsh, man. Fulham home as well, conceded against 10-man Fulham. Set piece, we were horrible. Ramsdale and Saka effed up in that game as well. And I'm not here to blame anyone individually, you know, if I'm honest. Arteta caused those results. In life, everything's your fault. Indirectly, everything good or bad is on Mikel Arteta. He's the manager. It's his decision. You know, and football's a harsh game in that we win, we waffle about the players. We lose, we look at Mikel Arteta. But he's assembled the squad. Got a new striker video for you, DG, the Ajax striker on the list. You know what? Let's write that down, man. Let's write that down. I'm actually working on something in relation to Locatelli, man. So, yeah. I don't really want to see, unless Kai Havertz really, really improves in the middle of the park, I'll be real, I'm not really trying to see that. You know, I think in terms of defending and whatnot, he fits in, but you look better up front. You're not an Arsenal midfielder per se. So we see what's going on in the latest news and whatnot. Let's start with Rodri. Now, what I would say to Rodri is if I was a treble winner, and I won a 4-time Premier League, and I won 3-4 Premier League trophies, and I was a villain against Arsenal, which he is, you can talk your stuff, but don't forget where you came from. Yeah, you're at City now. Don't forget where you came from. Like you weren't at Atletico Madrid, where people went to stink, where Atletico's game plan is based on stinking up the place. You know, they sit here and say with Arsenal, you know, when we defend, like we've shown we can stink up the place, we're not going for the win. Then if we were to make it a football match and make it an open game, you say we're naive and we can't win ugly. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Ultimately, we won the last few battles against City. They won the war and they showed why it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I don't think Rodri was indirectly being disrespectful to us, but I think he's taking a piss a bit. Pardon my language, people. He said, to be honest, I think it's in here, pointing to his head. It's the mentality. Arsenal also, they deserve to win the league. They did an unbelievable season, but I think the difference was here, pointing to his head again. When they came here, they faced us at the Etihad. I saw them and said, these guys, they don't want to beat us, they just want to draw. Fair enough, because at the time City needed to beat us more than them. Listen, you have to live to fight another day. We would love to go out there and win. Nobody wants to win at the Etihad more than me. You know, you look at our top 6 record and you look at where we actually lost this season. We didn't lose it against you lot, as great as you lot are. We took 4 points off you. We effed up against Fulham ×2. We effed up against Aston Villa. So I don't really agree with that. And Wenger used to say this kind of stuff. I've seen Klopp say it. I've seen Pep say it. You know, if you've got a great technical team, why on God's green earth do we want to try and play you off the park? We can't play you off the park. Of course, there's been games where we've obviously been competitive, but we can't. Why on God's green earth would you want to do that? It doesn't make sense. And there's been several times, you know, how many times, Roger, have you won at Anfield? You know, you look at the last game at Anfield, the last 20 minutes, that was the first time City looked like an average team. They just conceded, whoa, the Anfield roar is getting onto us. So yeah, and I can't disagree. You take City on mentality monsters. Like, they're the big bad bullies in this. They've got the best brand of experience and depth, and they've got Pep, and we'll be here all day talking about City, man. So I don't think he's being disrespectful, but yeah, and that mentality, I don't think we would do it the same way, and we caught them at the end. If you give us 1 point, we'll win the last 7, 8 games, even though it's so tough. So I think it comes down to mentality, and I don't think he's wrong, really. And I wouldn't say the Aston Villa at home game would be the one for me, but it did come at the wrong time. And maybe that's the one I feel if you're Mikel Arteta and the players, you're probably thinking, you know what, Aston Villa at home at the Emirates this year, that was probably the catalyst. That probably got City going a bit, really and truly. And, you know, City are elite competitors. You know, I think they thrive off competition of new kids on the block in Arsenal and what Liverpool have been doing. Pep defo does as well. What I would say is one thing is the consistency and the stamina in the whole team, but mainly Pep's motivation is something different. Because, you know, after winning the treble, I'm sure they wanted to do it again, but they're still breaking new grounds, man. So yeah, man, that's what Rodri has said. Mikel Arteta's boss at one point, Pep, has casted doubt on a new deal, and you would imagine Pep Guardiola in City, they know who the new manager is, or they know who they're going to. You'd be, you know, amazed if Pep Guardiola isn't advising, on who would be the next manager. And I think I speak for everyone where I say, yo, this guy needs to leave the Premier League. I still think City will be up there. I don't think they'll be bullying it like this because they've got all the resources and everything. And they've got this genius, this bold bastard, pardon my language. Like Pep is just amazing, man. But apparently he's raised the prospect he will leave the club when his contract expires. It's got to be tiring. It's got to be physically demanding as well because you have to keep rebuilding. you know, people can say what they want about Pep. He's done it all, man. But the man himself said, last year after Istanbul, I said it's over, there's nothing left. But I have a contract and I start to think no one has done 4 in a row. Why don't we try? And now I feel it's done. So what next? What's next? Go back to Barcelona, please, man. Now I don't know what exactly the motivation is because it's difficult to find it when everything is done. So if you're saying that, what are the players feeling like? And he then said, people, the reality is I am closer to leaving than staying. We have talked with the club. My feeling is that I want to stay now. I will stay next season, and during the season we'll talk, but 8 or 9 years we will see. Boy. And then he said Gary Lineker, he said, he told me no team has done back-to-back Premier Leagues and FA Cups. And obviously he's got 12 league titles across 3 clubs in 16 years. I want my players to enjoy 2 or 3 days and then prepare for the final. Why should we not work as much as possible to do what we have to do? I mean, I hope you lot win against Man United for obvious reasons. And when you look at the table, ultimately, it's crazy. You know, it all depends. I do think the draws have messed us up, but City drew more than us. And we lost more than them. So and all our defeats were stupid as well. They were quite preventable as well. I'm sure everybody would say that. And I don't want to sound snooty. In fact, Fulham away, sorry. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, Arsenal were terrible. We didn't stand up to be counted. We took the lead and bottled it. Take nothing away from Fulham. We have to get on our boys. But then you look at the other losses. We've been the better team, but the better team wins. We just not put the ball in the back of the net, or we've not defended well, or we've switched off where we don't necessarily need to switch off. And that's where it is. And I mean, people can't tell me Arsenal bottled the league this year. They can run their bands. I'm not being funny. The team that's third were top of the table for, you know, statistically the longest amount of days, but I'm not one fool of that. So close, but so far, 89 points. And, you know, as I said at the start of this live stream, if you're a Liverpool fan, you're probably thinking, DG, what are you talking about 89 points? Try 90 plus. Had we have just got 4 more points or something, where would we be, folks? But it is what it is, man. Pepper said on Arsenal being their closest challengers, I have a few things certain in my life. I wake up in the morning, I go to sleep at night. The other certain, with the age they have with the manager, they will stay here for a long, long time. Listen, hopefully that means winning, because we're always the bridesmaids at this moment. Kaya said it's not fair. Life isn't fair, but it's equal. What isn't fair? Like, what isn't fair? I understand it. You know, it definitely isn't fair to us fans. It isn't fair. You've come in, you know, fans didn't really want you. People called you a flop, and you've become one of the most informed players. You know, Mikel Arteta has, you know, made us fight again, got good top 6 record, clean sheets, goals, all the, you know, more wins than the Invincibles, which shows the current climate football is as well. And some Man United title winning sides. All of them things are great, and you lot deserve to reap the benefits. But what's not fair, you know, the league doesn't tell the full story, but it doesn't lie either. Like, what do you mean it's not fair? It definitely is fair, because if it was, you know, if we was meant to win the league title, we would have done it, innit? It is what it is. Yes, we can talk about VAR against Newcastle, for example, and do the coulda, woulda, shoulda. We would have actually had 90 points, but we didn't do what was required in that game to create chances either. We should have had a penalty against Villa, but we didn't do enough. And come, man, stop crying, man. Stop crying, man. You know, life goes on, as much as I hear it. But the man himself has said, and to be honest, I'm a big fan of Kai Havertz's reactions in the game as well against Everton. What can I say? I feel sorry for all the Arsenal fans. For us, we gave our best, but it wasn't enough. So if we did give our best and it weren't enough, get in the transfer market. Maybe in 2 or 3 months, we can say it was a good fight. But right now, I feel like we deserve more. It wasn't enough in the end, but we go again next year. The comeback win against Everton, we showed again great character. They didn't make it easy for us since the first minute. They just played with the time. Every throw, every ball, they take time. I can't criticize everything, because we was doing that at the Etihad. He said, my opinion is that sometimes it's not fair in football, but we have to accept that football is hard. Hopefully we can go again next year and give Arsenal fans what they need and what they're all here for. It's so frustrating. It's tough. Next year will be an even better team and give everything. I hope so, my dude. I hope so, my guy. But big up yourself. What's this? A message from our coach here. Again, big up Just Cronky, but I think I've covered that already. What have we got here? Pep Guardiola's protege Mikel Arteta is giving his final post-game comments of the year. Smash the like button. On the emotions at the end of the season, first of all, congratulations to Man City for winning the Premier League. It's unbelievable what they've done. Since December, we've been on an incredible journey with every performance and has been at the highest level we've seen, and it still wasn't enough. This is the level. Today is mixed emotions. First of all, to be really proud of those players, the staff. They have done an incredible job. They have pushed every limit, every margin that we could try to find to win this league. Really? I believe that, but I don't. centre mid, and unfortunately it was a bit short. We could not deliver the big prize that we wanted. You could feel it, that they were desperate for it. On taking things to the next level, it's the only way. This is now where I'm listening. So now we're sitting here and they took it away from us. It's the second season, so there's only one way to do it. You have to be more determined, you have to be more ambitious, you need to have a lot more courage and push every limit and everything that we have, because that's the next step. Like I said, everyone was available in the crucial moment of the season. Huge difference. On reflecting, he said, for sure, Aston Villa at home in the first half, we should have been 4-0 up and maybe the story would be different. But what happened last Tuesday, maybe today we are champions. The margins are so small, and that's credit to the club and the team should take, because we are doing this against the best team in the history of the Premier League by far. On whether it will take 100 points to win the Premier League, boy, I was there when we did 100 points, so I know what it takes. I know what happened, and this is the level. Nobody has to explain to me what the level is. Arteta, talk your shit, my guy, because I've been there 4 years every day, so I know what we have to do if we're going to reach there, not only for one season, but for the rest. We're on the right path, in the right journey. To see the evolution so quickly happening, I haven't seen it before. We're on the right trajectory. Now we need to put the teeth and bite into it, because we want more. On plans for the summer, rest, have a beautiful holiday. That's what we need, because everyone has put every single drop of energy and passion that we had, and now we need to rest while we decompress, rest, and think. We have to start to think with more clarity on what plans are in motion right now. The first one, and most important, is how we are going to get these players to a different level. That's my job. After that, visualizing that we still don't have enough to do that for sure. We're going to do everything we can to fill those gaps. I'm here for this. On the competition of the Premier League, big up Arteta, but we know this current climate is the most competitive the Prem's ever been. Saying that though, you know, it was quite a boring season, really. Like, obviously, Liverpool and Arsenal, they were trying to do something against City, but normally in some seasons, there's a fight for the league, there's a fight for the top 4 places, or the European football. Matter of fact, relegation is a bit iffy. You know, the three teams that were relegated, that there weren't really a relegation fight like that, so it was quite boring per se. Of course, the squad has to be hungrier next season. I had the same feeling in pre-season when we got together. We saw what was happening, players taking a different level, another year together, some big signings. It was a huge belief in the squad that we can go all the way in any competition. I've experienced the Premier League for the first time in 7 years. We are right on it in the Premier League. We have to continue to be at that level. On what levels the players are at, I think some of them, a lot of them, are levels to fight for a league, but I think carrying is not the right word. I think we're bringing tools to a battle that's simply not good enough, really. But I think I've offered all my thoughts in that. In everything, in the way they compete, the way they talk about the future, the way they talk about what they're capable of doing, what we're capable of doing as a team, I sense a real belief there. They're really determined. Before, I didn't have that feeling. They really want to win and go toe-to-toe and look in the eye of every opponent. Now I feel that. On whether the squad could be negatively impacted by having to deliver a consistency of motivation. If you have an issue with that and being consistently motivated, especially with getting that close to winning the Premier League, let Arteta know and come out of the club. It's as simple as that. If you don't believe you can do this thing, and if you don't want to do it, then unfortunately this ain't for you. I don't think so. We are still there to win, and that's the motivation. You want to come with me and have a look? I have my family here, a few friends. I'll have a good dinner with them and then spend some time with the staff and the players together. That's what I'm going to do, on his belief that we'll win the league title. If we do what we have to do, we're going to be closer, and at the end we'll win it. When? I don't know. If we keep knocking the door and being that close, at the end it will happen. By God's grace, man. What did Mikel Arteta say to the crowd at full time? All this is happening because you started believing, you started to be patient, you started to understand what we're trying to do, and all the credit has to go to these amazing players and the staff that are unbelievable. I think now is the time to have a break, think, reflect, and please keep pushing, keep inspiring this team. Don't be satisfied, because we want much more than that, and we're going to get it. Thank you so much. So for some people, Arsenal fans whose expectations are on the floor, the managers isn't. So what do you make of that? We've gone over that with Mikel Arteta already. Odegaard spoke as well. What did you specifically say, my Capitano? Technically got 2 assists yesterday, right? So scumbagged some more assists. I'm here for that. I think we're all a little bit disappointed at the moment, to be honest. We're all been fighting for so long for the big dream. We're so close, but at the same time, and so far, but at the same time, I'm so proud of the boys and everyone at the club, as well as the fans. I'm so proud of the progress we're making from when I first came here all the way to today. It's such a big difference. We've changed the club, and I think you all believe in us now. To be honest, I can't wait to come back after the break and make you guys even more happy. That's the goal. We're on a good good wave. We're closer than last year, but now we need to use the break and come back even stronger and even more hungry and push to win everything. He then said, honestly, I can't thank you enough for everything you do for us. The support we have at away games, it feels like we're playing at home, and home games are just a different level. We can't thank you enough, and we love you so much. So thank you. Obviously, we've dropped points away from home, but I think we've been better away from home than at the Emirates. I mean, to be fair, how far does that go? Because anytime you beat Manchester City, for me, automatically, that's the result of the season. So we've done that at home. We did that against Liverpool, you know. But I think the games at the Emirates have been filled with a lot more drama. Even games we've won. Obviously, Aston Villa, we dropped points. West Ham, we dropped points. You know, we came back from behind in certain games. The Man United game for the second year in a row could have went either way at the Emirates. So probably need to... There's certain boring elements I think we showed across the course of last season. Well, this season has just gone away from home. I want to see that correlated to the games at the Emirates, man. So yeah, big up Odegaard, people. He said, I'm glad we got the win. To finish with a win at home was the only thing we wanted to do. We did that, but unfortunately we didn't have enough. We didn't have the luck needed and were so close. We're making big steps all the time. If you compare it to last season, we're a lot better and more mature with a new record of wins in the league. We're doing a lot of good things, and it's just a matter of time until we win some big trophies. We're just going to keep pushing every day to do that. We're allowed to feel a little bit disappointed at the moment. We came so close, but if you look at the season, it's been unbelievable. I think the steps we're taking all the way feel so much stronger than last year. Finally, he said, I'm so proud of the boys. I'm proud of the team, the club, the fans, and everyone. The support we've had throughout the season away and at home, everywhere, it's unbelievable. We love them so much. Hopefully next season we can come back and give them a good trophy to celebrate. I think everybody hopes for such people. What's this? Oh, we've seen that already. The Athletic brought out a piece, people, and you know what? I'll go over it with you. Like, I wasn't planning to, but why not, people? Apparently, there's some good talking points. 3 years ago, we were nowhere. Tinkering the team when there was no need. Villa, etc. No party. Don't be satisfied. We want more, and we'll get more. I was already hyped for next season, but that line is gassing me too much. I believe, man. I really do. I believe him as well. I believe. Listen, I can't discredit Mikel Arteta or these players' integrity to winning stuff and wanted to win stuff. But at the same time, I do think my football club, not necessarily the players, more the fans, you know, slogans and slogans and positive statements. It's all fine and dandy, but you need to go out there and do this thing. Like, and I think a lot of that has to be done in the transfer market, or we're selling ourselves short. Obviously, you can't win them all. You're going to drop points. You know, we saw 7, I think City drew 7 games, and I'm sure their manager wouldn't be happy. But it's now about crossing over. I think we're 98% of the way there. Get in the transfer market. Everybody take things to the next level, and everyone keep this mentality. Nobody here has achieved anything. Yes, we've obviously statistics, all that stuff is great. I'm not discrediting it. Nobody's achieved nothing. Nobody in this football club has etched their name in history of winning a major trophy. So take the good, the bad, and let's channel it and go let's go next season. You know, we learned certain mistakes from the season before. Ultimately, the consistency is we still lost the league title, but we did take it further. Hopefully, that's a positive omen. But at the same time, being good, being amazing, isn't necessarily even good enough to beat City. You have to be near enough perfect. And I think need additions, man. We need another winger and a striker. Turn some of these defeats into draws, some of these draws into wins. Sometimes it's about how good are you at your best, of course, but how good are you at your worst? And I think sometimes we actually haven't played that well this season, and we've got things, you know, in previous years, you know, the Spurs game, because of ourselves shooting ourselves in the foot, we very well could have ended up drawing that. And obviously, you look at, as much as I think the Chelsea game was an L, in my opinion, even though we drew, we got something out of it. So we need to get more consistency in that regards, man. I do think a lot of what we've got, we haven't, quote unquote, maximized everyone's potential, but I feel like we've gone as far as we can without significant investment. And I say that lightly, man. Like button hit, going back in time, big up yourself. Missed opportunity, got to protect the crib, personal and sports life. I hear that. Your dynasty is over. What are you talking about? All right, be nice in the chat, man. Be nice in the chat, guys, man. DG, that other guy blamed him when he didn't play the game. We should get behind these lads and go again. I'd support everyone. I don't know who the other guy is, but what do you mean? Maybe we should have played him in the games when we didn't. Who are you referring to? Kai Havertz not good enough. To be fair, we can say what we want about Kai Havertz, whether we rate him or not. He's done his thing. He's been one of our better attackers this season. Who are we replacing? All the deadwood, though. 6 to 8 outgoings need replacing. It's too much turbulence, man. I know a lot is spoken on that pre-New Year run, but that Villa home game is the most painful for me. Just the one that we were in on the final day. I would say Fulham away annoys me because we weren't at it. I do think they're different games, obviously, but I think there's a lot of similarities with how we lost, ironically, the same scoreline, with how we lost 2-0 at the Emirates to Aston Villa and how we lost 2-0 to West Ham, in that you have to kill teams. You have to kill them. Well, DG's looking at the league table. The season's done. I always say I look in May, man. Don't worry, Rodri, cheaters never prosper. I mean, cheaters seem to be prospering right now, man. You know, if I'm honest, if I'm Rodri hearing that comment, boy, it is what it is. If you can't win at the Etihad, don't lose at the Etihad. I believe Arteta wanted more from there. If you were to criticize us for games like that, I'd argue away at Porto or Lens is better examples. Porto, terrible. And to be fair with you, that's we need to focus on winning the league first, but Champions League's a different ball game. We definitely don't have enough in that, man. Damn, DG, man, you finished 8th and might get an FA Cup, 2 finals in a row for them. I hear that. That's good for them, man. I wouldn't swap being 8th for an FA Cup final, but I definitely would want a trophy. It's a bit ridiculous when people call Arsenal bottlers for losing in December, but it's the fine margins, as you say. We can only build on these lessons we've learned. There you have it, man. It's all you can do, man. DG, how do you think we will be in the Champions League? Because we have to play 8 games in the league stage. More of the same unless the squad expands to a suitable level, if I'm honest with you. I know, but dude is the best manager in the whole football universe. That's what we're up against, so we just need to keep going. Handle the variables, man. You know, had we have all you got, we could still have L's, but had we have held on to the lead against Fulham and held on to the lead against Spurs, that's 6 points. Where would that 6 points put us? Had we have got something out of both games against Villa or even just one, that's 9 points. We can't go back in time, but we need to look internally, in my humble opinion, man. Apparently, Arsenal line up target. Oh, sorry, we're skipping ahead. This article, I saw the talking points online, people. There was all things about, why Steve Round left because he wasn't convinced on Raya, etc., etc. I'm going to try and skip through the jargon. We all know the Athletic are going to, kind of brown nose Arsenal, but we did end the campaign with a club record 28 Premier League wins and 91 goals. We also had the best defensive record in the division, but there's nothing that's etched in history for us. I ain't gonna remember this fight to the end. We did, but it's like being a boxer. You can be in the boxing match and to the last round. If my man bangs you in your face and you lose on points or whatever, he's still lost, in it. Essentially, people. I'm trying to skip through this. We all know Arteta at some point last season said, well, the season that's just gone, said, the squad players will get their opportunities. That unity is the cornerstone of this Arsenal project. That was much evident at full time against Everton when players and staff were joined by their families on the pitch. They're the unseen contributors to the cause. Okay, it's not necessarily unique to us. We know the summer signings, is fair to say they've all worked out. Now we start getting into the interesting bits. We all know Declan Rice, when he joined, had a calf injury. Kai Havertz was brought in to replace Granit Xhaka in midfield, which is probably the issue in itself. Arsenal considered other candidates such as Gundogan, which, he was always going to go Barca, and Mason Mount. But Arteta and sporting director Edu were most excited by Havertz's distinct physical and technical profile. The addition of Timber added flexibility and quality to Arsenal's defensive options. While he was initially brought in to play at right back and centre back, that's interesting. A series of impressive pre-season performances at left-back changed Arsenal's thinking. The pursuit of David Raya was controversial externally and internally. While nobody had any doubts about Raya's quality, there was significant debate within Arsenal about allocating more resource to the goalkeeping department, especially in the wake of awarding Aaron Ramsdale a new contract just a few months earlier. We can ask questions of Raya, but I like that. Because that is what you need to do. Unpopular decisions. It's definitely not the same. But do you remember when Pep Guardiola, and it was a bit different because they had Claudio Bravo, but do you remember when he walked in at City, Joe Hart was the number one, and he had Joe Hart was a good keeper them times. He said, fuck all of that. I need this. That is the ruthlessness we need, really and truly. If I'm honest. Arteta, however, would not be deterred. Persuaded of Raya's qualities by goalkeeping coach Inaki Kanya, he was bullish in his pursuit of the Spain international. There were casualties along the way, as well as changes to Arteta's playing squad. There was a significant change to his backroom staff. Arteta's assistant, Steve Round, was one of those who argued against signing Raya. He felt displacing Ramsdale, popular among players and staff, could disrupt Arsenal's carefully cultivated culture. I hear it, and I can obviously understand why that would rub people up the wrong way, but are we here to try and win, or are we here to make friends? We're not here to do that. And you could also argue Ramsdale, PFA nomination, all of these kind of things, new deals. I'm exaggerating, but if you're Bukayo Saka, if you're Declan Rice, if you're Saliba, Gabriel, if you're anyone in the squad and you've seen that happen to Ramsdale, you got to think, right, if it's happened to him, it can happen to me. buck up your ideas and be amazing all the time. If everybody chases excellence in every training session, in every bit of recovery and nutrition and whatnot, then we're getting closer, really and truly. That disagreement played a part in Arteta's decision to dispense with Round. That's harsh, man. In his stead, Arteta promoted 28-year-old coaching prodigy Carlos Cuesta, who's actually been linked with a couple of clubs. He's become a trusted sounding board for Arsenal's manager, an increasingly influential presence at London Coley. The change was also about Arteta demonstrating to his younger staff that there was a pathway for them to continue their coaching careers with Arsenal. One day, we're going to end up losing him if he wants to be a manager in his own right, in the same way Arteta was, he was Pep's guy, sat there and said, you know what, Pep, I want to, carve out my own kind of future as the head honcho, really and truly. But fair enough. We all know Raya's deal to sign him for 27 million is going to happen. We all know, as expected, no matter what Arteta said about our sub goalies and 2 good goalies, we all know that was never going to happen. Raya's now the number 1, 16 clean sheets. Was it 15 or 16? Either way, big him up for getting that. And it's not just on Raya. We've got a new, better team outlook defensively. So it's obviously nice for Raya, man, because it's nice to see how it ended for Raya on a personal note, because I don't think it was fair for Raya when he started. And I do think there was a bit of nerves in his game. I don't think he's convinced all the way. But yeah, people, if I'm honest, the preseason period afforded Arteta and Arsenal time to focus on certain technical aspects of their game. Their build-up was recalibrated to place William Saliba at the heart of their passing game. The intense fixture list leaves little time to focus on, I can't say that word, on set pieces. So this is when much of the speciality coach Nicholas Hover's groundwork was done. His philosophy is to establish core principles which can then be tweaked at regular intervals throughout the season. We all know about that. We all know, at the start of the season, Gabriel's head might have been turned with Saudi interest. Granit Xhaka departed. Zinchenko's been inconsistent with injuries, as has Thomas Partey, but he was also doing that right back. As it says here, there was another facet to Gabriel's omission. However, behind the scenes, there was anticipation of a bid from the Saudi Pro League. Arsenal believed an offer was imminent and even went so far to draw up a list of potential replacements, including names like Mark Guehi. So maybe them rumours with Mark Guehi are true. So there's obviously some level of admiration for him, and Laporte. Now, apparently Man City made it clear that they're not selling any more people to Arsenal. There you have it, people. And it's fair to say Gabriel's been one of our players of the season, and has actually, there's a lot of players that could actually probably win player of the season. Let me know you lot's thoughts. But Gabriel's defo in the mix for that. I don't think he's appreciated enough in the game. I don't know why, but as long as he's appreciated internally at Arsenal, people. Obviously, we know Kai Havertz is comfy with life now, people. We know VAR did us dirty. Don't really want to cry about any of that. We know, ultimately, it's just how you start and end the season. And it's ended in an underwhelming way because we haven't won the league. But, it ended with 1 defeat in 2024. It's the December period and obviously the Villa game that effed us, really and truly. So yeah, and Arteta said on the Craven Cottage day, really tough day. It wasn't good enough. We didn't deserve to win. When you have opportunities to go top of the league on December the 31st and now end up with a really bad feeling, that is football. The lines are really thin. If we play like we played in the other 19 games, we'll be up there. If we play like today, we're nowhere near. Today was a really difficult day to swallow. There you had it. And obviously, the bye saved our lives, really and truly. It was necessary. We needed to do that. So big up ourselves for that. Apparently Ben White, Saka and Odegaard, went for dinner with their partners. Apparently, there was a lot of family trips between, the footballers and their partners, and obviously the coaching staff. That's all great. This is what people should be doing anyways. Kai Havertz changed his fortunes going up front. That's what was required. Declan Rice has been amazing for us, really and truly. Apparently, the day after the Wolves game, Arsenal held a get-together for the first team squad staff and their families. It took the form of a Sunday roast throughout the season. Arteta has used these informal get-togethers to try and foster camaraderie within the team. Of course, it's a family team. You need that, really and truly. Pick them up for that. And again, we know the training sessions are quite intense. Again, I'm trying to skip through a lot of this really and truly because it is big up the Athletic, but a lot of it is, if you can say something in 2 sentences, say it in 2 sentences rather than a million in it. So that's the bulk of that. Apparently, Arsenal are ready to back Mikel Arteta in the transfer market as they bid to go one better in the title race next season. Josh Kroenke vowed yesterday no one at the club will stand still, and Arsenal already plotting how to overhaul 4-time champions Man City next season. Arsenal are ready to spend again this summer and are targeting a new defender, midfield and a striker. A striker is a key priority, and Arsenal are interested in RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko. Reports in Germany claim Sesko, who scored 14 Bundesliga goals this season, has a release clause which has increased to 55 million and expires at the end of June. 91 goals in the Premier League, and we're talking about a striker. Look at the margins. I know certain North London clubs A lot of my fans are not happy when we win. Certain men celebrate L's. Romero tweeted, North London is white though, and he said London's white and it's been a good season. You want to talk about Spurs being rivals? Allow it. Absolutely allow it. We all know Seska has a lot of interest from a number of clubs, and his agent has been pictured at various games. He's been linked with AC Milan, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, and a bunch of others. He's actually been linked with the Saudi Pro League and actually getting a new deal at Leipzig. So who knows? And apparently Leipzig hope to persuade him to stay in Germany for at least another year and give him a new contract, probably with no release clause or an even higher release clause. We know Arsenal have long admired Pedro Neto, and it says it here, people. And apparently we're one of the several sides interested in Bilbao's Nico Williams. He's thought to have a release clause of around 43 million, but his wages could prove a stumbling block. We also like Isak, but Newcastle are adamant the Swede is not for sale. We also want a new midfielder to play alongside Odegaard and Rice. Gomares, Zubamendi, and obviously Onana have been linked. A new defender is also desired, ideally one who can play on the left side, which again, Ajax's Gerald Hato is on Arsenal's radar. Still only 18. He has already captained Ajax and is considered one of the brightest talents in Europe. We're likely to need a new goalie. We know Aaron Ramsdale could leave, and he's been linked with Newcastle. And on the topic of goalies, we know Raya's move is going to be made permanent. We also know we're going to have to sell people. Eddie Nketiah, Smith Rowe, Nelson, Tavares, Tini, Lokonga, and several others are going to draw speculation. We know, apparently Arsenal could have their resolve tested over Kirill, which is interesting because I think he's found a role for himself in this Arsenal team. But at the same time, he might want regular football, and he's still linked with Roma, with Napoli, with all of these clubs. And it seems like Arsenal could make a handsome profit. And if we're signing someone like Hato who can play centre-half and left-back, where does that place Kirill? Because respectfully to Kirill, at times this season, he's been one of the first names on the team sheet. But I just feel in the grand scheme of things, with all the available guys that can play left-back, let's just focus on the left-back role. I think you're bottom. Out of the guys that are in the team, say what you want about Zinchenko. I think he's ahead of Kirill in the pecking order. I think Arteta has to change too much to accommodate Kirill. Timber's ahead of you. Tomiyasu's ahead of you. I'm definitely forgetting somebody. I've got so many people. There's definitely someone else I'm forgetting. So we'll have to see. Cedric Suarez and El Nene are keeping it moving. Partey has a year left on his deal and allegedly is still wanted by clubs in the Saudi Pro League, people. So we're going to have to watch a lot of these things very closely. Arsenal want to sign a striker before pre-season as 2 names top shortlist, allegedly, people. We want to sign a striker in their prime, which I wouldn't say that's probably of Ajax, but fair enough. We've been linked with Ajax's probably, and we've been linked with Alexander Isak. Apparently, Arteta has already started work on plans for next season. And to be fair, last year, Timber, Raya, Declan Rice, they came in early, so get it done really and truly. We know we tried to sign a striker in January. It didn't work. The Ivan Toney rumours are gone. Apparently, Isak has been the preferred option, but it comes down to price tag, so we could probably forget about that. Apparently, Newcastle want him to not only sign a new deal, but build their project around him. Arsenal do want to at least see if a deal is possible, but do not want to get drawn into a long saga. Odegaard, text your former teammate. Rattle the guy, man. Arteta wants to get all business done early, so the squad is immediately ready to work on the campaign where they're aiming to hit over 90 points. I don't think you can get that without new players, if I'm honest with you. I think, these players have to go to the next level. Not over 90 points. I don't think it's attainable with the current playing squad, which we're going to bring players in. And I'll be honest, Mikel Arteta, big up Kai Havertz, but I don't think it's captain save the whole settings in the summer. Like, just no random guys that need love. And I mean, I'm a hypocrite because I'll back Arteta and whatever he's doing, but guys that are 30, like Declan Rice, wherever he's playing 8 or 6, we're up another level. I think we need at least 3 of those kind of players. And then we just need to balance the squad, really, because a lot of the Dons are too injury prone. People get injured. It happens. It's like being a chef and cutting your hand. But as much as I'm a big fan of Tomiyasu. He's going to spend a lot of time on the treatment table. Partey, we're going to be here all day. Jorginho picks up a lot of knocks at times. Zinchenko picks up a lot of knocks at times. And there's plenty of others, really. There's been times Odegaard, Saka have had knocks, and don't get it twisted. I'm not criticizing them for this, but it has a knock-on effect. We already have a small squad, and it becomes smaller. Fabio Vieira needs to stay fit. I believe in Fabio, but it's now time to do the fitness thing. If Arsenal can't get Isak, probably would be the most likely option. The 22-year-old Dutch striker has been a revelation for Ajax this season, with 22 goals in 42 matches, bringing interest from a series of major clubs. Another option on the list is Isak's Swedish compatriot, the 25-year-old Victor Gyökeres from Sporting. Arteta would meanwhile like at least one more left-back as well as another midfielder. So yeah, defender and a midfielder is on the agenda, allegedly. Once again, we're being linked with Brobley. He said Arsenal, I think that is a very nice club. If you look at that stadium, a very nice club, but that also applies to Man United, Barcelona, and Madrid. And I think probably is a lot more mature because I'm sure you left Ajax and then you came back. So I think he's a decent player. I do. And at 22, you can't rule him out, but I can't see it just because I can't see it. I'm just on YouTube talking with you. Look, I can't, like, I can see there's a good player. And Arteta can get a tune out of these young players, but I just don't see it in you. I'd rather go for that Zertsky guy, if I'm honest. I don't think probably affects the game much if he's not scoring. He presses well. He's a bully. I like him a lot. We've gone over the Timber comments. What is this? We've gone over that. Apparently, Mikel Arteta, Arsenal are ready to put pen to paper on a new Mikel Arteta contract. So we'll wait for confirmation where that's concerned. Don't think that's relevant. RB Leipzig have made contact with Benjamin Sesko's agent in recent days, says Romano, to offer a new lucrative contract. Several top clubs want Sesko this summer, especially from the Premier League. Leipzig offer a new deal and key player project to stay for one more year. And, you know, considering his form, he did start this season for the majority. He has been second fiddle kind of to Openda, but I'm a big fan of his. Apparently, you know, they've received 2 offers from the Saudi pro club. Sesko isn't on it. And once again, Premier League clubs are pushing. And you look at several teams that need a striker: Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, everyone apart from City, probably in the top 6. I don't know where Liverpool fans would be with that as well, because you have got Darwin Núñez. So would have to see essentially. And I'm sure there's clubs abroad. On Bruno Gomares, Eddie Howe said, I don't think it was a wave goodbye. I think Bruno does that. It can be interpreted that way for those watching. Certainly from my side, I hope it's not. He's integral to what we want to do. I'm desperate to keep him. So there you have that. I'm waiting for us to get linked with Dominic Calvert-Lewin once again. But Everton are saying 60 million. Good luck, man. Good luck. Good luck with that, man. I hear that. I rate that. I would love us to sign Doué from Rennes. I can't see that happening. I've gone over that on the video to come out at 7 p.m. So I'll allow this Saliba stuff. Everton are willing to sell Onana first, allegedly, if it comes to FFP kind of stuff. What is the price tag around him? Because I would love someone like Braithwaite, but they're going to say 70 million. You've seen rumors actually for Onana from 50 to 60. Is that value for money? Maybe he's 22 years of age and whatnot, but I don't know where we're at with that. We've gone over that before. David Ryer said, it's not up to me to sign. It's up to the club and Mikel. If my performances have been good enough, hopefully they'll offer me a contract. You're right, Ryer, but come on, man. You, Arteta, everyone in the club, Brentford, you're an Arsenal player, man. Of course, I'd love to be here next season. And if that's the case, it'd be amazing. A dream come true. I don't want it to stop here. I want more. I want to win trophies with Arsenal. Fair enough, man. Probably has admitted it's a dream club. We've gone over that already. See, I don't try and miss anything for you lot, people. This article said Chelsea are close to agreeing an agreement for Osimhen. Now, I think every Arsenal fan could leave the Osimhen stuff dead and buried in the water now, people. So it is what it is in that regard. Has Romano said anything new, Arsenal specifically related? What? Company to Bayern Munich? Talk about failing upwards. Joshua Zertsky's release clause at Bologna remains the same as reported in December. 40 million euros fee valid for all clubs, not only Bayern. AC Milan keep working on the deal with regular contacts taking place, waiting for next steps. Several clubs keen. And Bologna have just got Champions League football as well. Fair enough. I think Jacob Ramsey's been linked with Arsenal in the last hour or so. I can't lie, I would sell Núñez, man. The guy's frustrating. After 2 seasons, I've seen enough. I don't think he'll be sold this summer. I think the most likely Liverpool attacker to leave is probably Diaz, man. He seems like he's getting itchy feet to go to Barcelona, if I'm honest. I was never on Brobbly, even in his academy time at Ajax. Watkins would be a good signing, but boy, Villa got him tied down to a new deal. They've got Champions League football. The money in the game means that they don't really have to sell. You're looking at a mad fee for him. DG, what do you think of some of these fans saying Arteta needs to be sacked? Johnny, if you can provide logic, you know, I believe in freedom of speech to a degree, you know, unless you're dissing Smith Rowe, then you need to come off the channel. But everyone's allowed to say what they want. If people like Arteta and want Arteta to stay or they want him to go, and they can, and for me, if I'm having a conversation, if they can provide legitimate reasons, because as much as I like Arteta, I don't think, you know, you've quite earned the right to be back religiously and there's no question marks. But if you can provide reason and logic for why you like him or don't like him, fair enough. What I'm not a fan of is the toxic positive fans that, you know, Arteta could poo in his hands and clap and they'll say that's innovative. And obviously the toxic negative people that are just driving engagements, man, really. I'll never tell people what to think, but do the thing, man. I'm a big fan of Zubimendi, but I think Bruno G elevates our midfield on the next level. I don't believe in Fabio at all. Poor Odegaard has been playing all season. I mean, if we signed a striker, a winger, got the defensive options, I'm not going to lie. I think there could be scope for another 10, but I hope between Fabio Vieira, young Ethan, who we need to give time, maybe we're keeping that one there kind of that spot kind of free for that. If it was up to me, I'll go and get Havertz from Leverkusen, but the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. But yeah, man. I like Bubbly, but yeah, Kiwior as a left centre back. I mean, unless Gabriel's going to get rested, it's a myth. And I'm not dissing Kiwior, but where are you in the pecking order with the centre halves? Could you argue Tomiyasu and Timber ahead of him in that? And obviously Saliba and Gabriel. Boy, Leicester then get relegated many years after Fergie's gone, huh? United getting charged this season. Remember, charged for what? I'm not sure. Charged for what? Fair enough. Aston Villa and West Ham should teach us something about how we lost that game. 2-0 both times, but we just lost 1-0 against Villa and Newcastle. Fulham 2-1, just a bad performance and deserve to lose. I hear it. Henry never make the impression he believes in Arteta. I'm all here for constructive criticism, but I feel he's too harsh on Arteta. I feel you should be as harsh on anyone as long as there's logic, really and truly. And you know, ultimately, Arteta for me. Shout out American Gooner for subscribing with Amazon Prime. If I rate you so highly, then I do think you should be judged harshly. A bit like Bukayo Saka. If Bukayo Saka does not score for 5 games, I'm going to be very harsh because I believe in you. But again, there needs to be reason. There needs to be logic. We can't just F and blind. And we can't just back people religiously because nobody's earned that. So it is what it is in that regards, man. Deluded. What do you think about Leao on the left, Zertsky in the middle, Saka on the right? It could work. I wouldn't be against it. I'm not at this moment in time. The only question mark would be Zertsky's goal scoring prowess, which can be improved. I like his adaptability. I like his playmaking. I like his ability to affect the game without scoring. Really, I think Leao's mad overrated by Arsenal fans, if I'm honest. But based on the profile, it could cook. It could cook. Who is your ideal right winger signing? I don't think I have one, bro. It would have been Pedro Neto if he could stay fit, or it would have been, I want someone like Kudus, man. You can play in a couple of roles. Yeah, man. Who even is Zertsky? Bologna striker. Trusay Smith, Rose the next Messi. You just need to be patient. I never want him sold. Boy, Isaac is the only answer. Rude boy, bare average 9s with fancy names being linked to us every summer. That's all air. City better not get Verts or Musiala or done. I reckon Verts could go City, but for some reason, I just think you're getting groomed to end up at Madrid. I don't know where you'd fit, but I think you're getting groomed for that, man. I think they're getting Tony Kroos to chat to you. I think that if it wasn't for your ACL injury, they probably would have, pushed for you to be signed sooner. I think he's ending up at Madrid, man. You can see what the dynasty Madrid are doing. Hopefully that would mean Odegaard, for all his quality, it isn't going to work over there, and we can do things. So yeah, man, it's an interesting one. It'd be nice in the chat, man. Probably is underwhelming, can't lie. Same, but maybe we're being a bit ignorant, really. I like him. I think he's good, but I'm not going to sit here and go, yeah, like next level. I'll give him a chance, but I would be underwhelmed. But he's not the first nor the last player that's underwhelmed that Arteta's bought or at the point of signing that's convinced people really and truly. You know, Kai Havertz is doing all right. Hopefully he can, hit the ground running. I hope, in an ideal world, Kai Havertz learns how to play central midfield greatly in the summer, but can't see that happening. Just keep doing your thing wherever you're playing, however you're playing, man, if I'm honest, man. But on that note, though, people, I would love Xavi Simons as well. On that note, though, we've been here for 1 hour and 8 minutes. I'm going to go and record a Locatelli video for you lot. As usual, people, appreciative for you lot's talking points, difference of opinions, the silent listeners, the super chats, all of those kind of good things. The season might be finished, but we're not done, people. So, yeah, I think a video should come out at 7 p.m. Just turn on your notification bells. Make sure you're subscribed and all of that good stuff, and I'll be here. I heard Mikel Arteta wanted a fullback.
Against this right back, Charlie.